Hello, class. My name is Daniel Dolman, and this is my term paper project titled Assessing Feasibility of Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Deployment in Intelligent Transportation Systems. So these are the contents of my presentation. We're going to start off with the motivation. So UAVs have already been utilized for many different applications, such as military operations and commercial delivery, such as what has been seen in with companies like Amazon. But what about using UAVs for ITS? Well, there is a desire for a more automated, efficient future, and ITS already accomplished this to a certain extent, but UAVs are capable, possibly, of helping ITS achieve its goals. And there's a bunch of applications of UAVs and ITS proposed throughout modern literature, so it's worthy of investigation for my term paper. Now, some goals and objectives. Essentially, I intended to understand the fundamentals of UAVs, the fundamentals of ITS, to then draw parallels of their overlapping applications. I also intended on critically examining existing literature surrounding proposed UAV ITS applications. And finally, I intended on tying it all together to see whether UAVs can and should be used in ITS. So these are my review metrics. I looked over 11 papers. It was a subtopic literature investigation that was performed, and I found these papers primarily on Google Scholar using keywords such as intelligent transportation systems, UAVs, ITS technology. And then this Venn diagram here shows you the the way I grouped the papers by topic and with some overlap between some sources. So during my literature review, it was uncovered that there's three different types of UAVs. We have fixed wing, which look like tiny little airplanes, because of their typical two-winged structure. Then we have rotary wings. These can come single or multi-rotor, and these are more common. As you can see, like maybe you've seen them in stores like technological stores and such. Then we also have hybrid, which is still being perfected. The prototypes exist, but it's still being perfected, and that involves combining the features of fixed wing and rotary wing. Now, UAV performance measures, it's important to understand that in order to utilize the right UAV, we have six different performance measures to look at. We have mass, which refers to how much mass a UAV has. We have payload, which refers to how much weight a UAV can carry. This can be in the form of cameras, sensors, GPS equipment. Then we have ceiling altitude, which is how high the UAV can fly. Then we have endurance, which is how long the UAV can remain in flight before it has to be grounded. Then we have range, which is how far the UAV may fly before you lose control of it. And then we have energy source. It can either be fuel or battery. And as you can see here in this table, fixed wing is superior to that of rotary wing across all these feat performance measures. Then here we have here that rotary wings rely exclusively on battery with around a 20-minute battery life, so not that long. We have some proposed UAV ITS applications. So for the ITS system of advanced traffic management systems, we have flying police side, which entails of reporting traffic violations, stopping vehicles by integrating UAVs with traffic signals. They can also catch speeders by flying at a ceiling altitude. And we have here flying roadside unit is another application where UAVs can travel to incident sites, they can transmit incident data to relevant transportation authorities, and they can alert approaching vehicles about incidents. Now, UAVs could be better than regular RSUs that we have nowadays because of their 3D mobility and greater coverage. RSUs have limited coverage and they do not have 3D mobility. And then another application is remote sensing, which entails of infrastructure condition monitoring and assessing site distance on highways for the purpose of safety. Then we have for another ITS system, emergency management system, and UAVs can come into play as a flying accident report agent. They can send a detailed report They can take photos, they can take video, they can serve as a communication medium between accident location and responders. And depending on their payload, they may provide a first aid kit to injured people. And then this essentially kind of ties it all together in that UAVs can be a pretty good sensor because unlike mobile sensors, which are usually referred to cars, and stationary sensors, which are like tubes and similar technologies, UAVs have a different vantage point that traffic engineers can benefit from to understand more the traffic flow patterns that exist in today's urban cities. There are some implementation challenges, however. So energy efficiency, um, a lot of UAVs are powered by battery, which means they need to be charged. So they do not have much time in the air. However, swarms are offered as a solution, but if swarms are chosen, coordination algorithms would need to be perfected so that UAVs in a swarm can delegate tasks within themselves to be able to maximize their time in flight, essentially. And then we have data routing and data collection is also a challenge because the when we deploy UAVs, we want them to accomplish the task efficiently and rather quickly. So there would be a need for inbuilt image processing units and multi-sensors data processing. Then we have endurance as another challenge, and this is affected by the power source and the weather conditions. So for power source, recharging could be performed, but recharging would need to be optimized to ensure that there's a steady supply of UAVs up in the sky completing ITS tasks. Then we have the issue of security risks. Homographic encryption was proposed as a solution to this, but the issue then becomes how do you balance security decisions and ITS decisions? Because UAVs need to make quick ITS decisions, but they also need to be cognizant of the fact that cyber attacks are possible. Then we have privacy as another challenge. So the Federal Aviation Administration does a great job at regulating airspace, and UAVs are no exception to those regulations. So if UAVs were to be deployed on a grand scale, a certificate of waiver would need to be filed or authorization would need to be obtained. And then the issue of shared airspaces. So if UAVs are going to be in the same sky as other flying crafts, we need to ensure that there's some sort of sophisticated collision avoidance system. Then there are some literature gaps, such as in the advanced public transportation systems realm. That's another system of ITS. I put this bullet point here because in a study, researchers were investigating RFIDs at bus stops, but the weakness was that these RFIDs were only utilized at the bus stops, and we wouldn't know how the buses are doing in between bus stops. And this is all for the purpose of managing and scheduling bus services. However, UAVs could be deployed to track buses in between bus stops so as to increase coverage and knowledge of the whereabouts of buses and improve scheduling. Then we have advanced traveler information systems applications. This was not mentioned in the literature either. This is another system of ITS, and the way UAVs can fit into this is that they can utilize GPS equipment to measure travel delays on roads and transmit delay to inform public regarding travel time on routes. And then the issue then becomes optimizing coverage sensibly because you can't just deploy a bunch of UAVs. They cost money, so they need to be deployed in a smart way. Another gap is how can UAVs fit into the big data aspect of ITS? So there's the data collection layer, the data analytics layer, the application layer. Based on my research, I've uncovered that, well, UAVs are capable of possibly conducting all these tasks at once, but this needs to be explicitly mentioned in the literature. Then some proposed ways to improve, we need to consider APTS and ATIS applications, so the different ITS systems I've discussed previously. We also need to make sure to optimize performance measures, algorithms, and security protocols of UAVs before considering ITS applications. And these are my references. Thank you so much.